Good afternoon, everyone. I'll call the Environment and Sustainability meeting, number 202102, on the 11th of March 2021. I note that all committee members are in attendance. I'll ask for declarations of interest in matters on the agenda, if there are any. Nil. And we have no business outstanding from previous. Confirmation of minutes. Item 1 is the report for the Environment and Sustainability Committee of 11 February 2021. Moved by Councillor Fechner and seconded by Councillor Kunzelman. Ask those all in favour. Carried unanimously. Item 2, Officers' Report. Proposal for Resilient Rivers Bremer River Catchment Officer hosted as a partnership between Scenic Rim and Ipswich City Council. Does any member of the committee wish for Council Officer to come forward to answer any questions? No? The recommendation is in two parts. A, that Council provide financial support of $30,000 for the establishment of the Bremer River Catchment Management Officer role in partnership with Scenic Rim Regional Council. And B, that Council enter into a partnership agreement with Scenic Rim Regional Council and South East Queensland Council of Mayors, outlining the terms and desired outcomes of the funding arrangement. Councillor Fechner moves both recommendations, seconded by Councillor Madsen. I'll open the matter for discussion. Mayor Harding.
Chair, I just want to point out that the Resilient Rivers Initiative was developed by ComSec, so the Council of Mayors of South East Queensland, and Ipswich City Council is obviously part of that. And I have noticed, as a director on ComSec, that the last few years, from what I can gather, this council has not contributed anything financially to that Resilient Rivers project, yet we are a beneficiary. I can see that that particular initiative, other councils have put money in. Certainly that money has gone to Black Snake Creek initiative and stuff like that. So I'll be fully supporting this initiative. It's about time that we do contribute to this, and I think this Bremer River Catchment Management plan that we're doing and supporting that officer is vitally important, and it's time that we do it.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just want to highlight the importance of funding a role like this and maintaining the visibility of our waterways. You know, from a political perspective, it's very important that we, at every opportunity, make sure that we're doing the right thing by our residents, particularly when it comes to protecting the natural environment. So I want to throw my support behind this, and I speak for the motion, and I really look forward to keeping the river at the front of our minds, particularly as we move into budget discussion and decide how much goes into the newly developed sub-program as well. So I implore all of my fellow committee members to keep that at the front of their mind as we move into budget discussions come April.
Very good. Any other further discussion? I'd just like to add that also in the conduct of it, that the interoperability between neighbouring local governments is great to see, and that is good resourcing. With no further discussion, I'll put the motion. Those for? And it's carried unanimously. Item 3, assessment of 12 to 26 Eugene Street, Bellbird Park for EnviroPlan acquisition. Does any member of committee want Council Officer to come forward to answer any questions? Mayor Harding, yes?
Tim Shields, Team Leader, Strategic Catchment and Conservation Planning.
My first question would be on noticed that attachment 3, a property valuation would be commercially sensitive. Is there any reason why the other two documents are confidential? Is this a question for yourself or the CEO? My apologies, I didn't. I'll ask that question again. I didn't have that on. My question, Mr. Shields, is regarding the attachments. All three of them are confidential, whilst the third one, being a property valuation, would be commercially in confidence. Is there a reason why the other two are confidential? And I don't know if that question's for yourself or the CEO.
I'm happy to answer that. So the second attachment, which under our procedure we do an initial assessment and then decide to go on to a further assessment, the amount cited in the valuation was, I guess, one of the key considerations in our initial assessment, and that's why it's also commercial in confidence as the initial assessment, yes.
Okay. You know how much I love opening up documents.
If I
Yeah.
might comment, it would only be an issue if the council was of a view that it was looking to acquire the site. If it wasn't, it takes a decision that it doesn't want to proceed in this location, then I think there'd be no reason why you wouldn't make that information available.
Thank you, CEO. I'm not sure if it's yourself. My understanding of the land we're looking at was, is it 2074? Oh, sorry, 1974 was when it was zoned as residential. Is that correct, or should I be asking?
I'm not sure on those specific details.
I'll leave my questions to
It's for a long time. It's been zoned residential, yeah.
They're my only question.
Any other member of the committee have questions? No? Thank you, Mr. Shields.
Thank you.
May I ask Mr. Tabula a question?
Yes. Mr. Tabula, please come forward.
Peter Tabula, General Manager of Planning and Regulatory Services.
Mr. Tabula, when was the land here zoned as residential?
So, Mayor, I was able to circulate to yourself and the councillors yesterday what we could find at that time, the chronology of the zoning going back to the Moreton Shire Council days, and what we found was since about 1974, the land was zoned residential A, and since that period of time, as subsequent town planning schemes came, the zones might have changed their name, but the intent has been basically the same, and that is for single detached dwellings, houses built on blocks of land, probably on average between that 600 to 800 square metres, just depending on the standard of subdivision that might have applied at the time of this planning scheme.
So it's been a matter of public record since 1974 that
Correct.
this was zoned residential.
Correct.
Not going to be kept as bushland.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions for Mr. Tabula? No? Thank you. Any member of the committee have any other questions they'd like to ask of appropriate council officer? No? Then the recommendation is that council not pursue the acquisition of the property identified as 12 to 26 Eugene Street, Bellbird Park, through an EnviroPlan levy, based upon findings of an initial desktop assessment and an independent curbside evaluation of the land. Instead, the protection or acquisition of land adjacent to Wigaroo Creek will be considered under the planning process as part of any future development proposal. Any member of committee wish to move the recommendation?
I'll move it. Councillor Milligan.
Thank you, Councillor Fechner. Moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Kunzelman. I'll open the matter for discussion.
Just noting that the officer's recommendation is framed very specifically around the expenditure of EnviroPlan money. I beg your pardon. Just noting that that this is framed in a very specific way. We were asked to access the EnviroPlan monies to to purchase this land, and of that money, you know, we wouldn't be able to, we probably wouldn't in good faith be able to endorse the purchase of that land, you know, because it would almost be operating outside of the policy that we've created about connecting corridors and, you know, and significant land. So, I mean, the valuation, which is under confidential paper here, is a very significant sum of money, and would completely destabilise the money that is presently in the pot of EnviroPlan money to expend. That being said, I'm sure the council officers wouldn't be opposed to purchasing this land using, you know, money from other potential you know, buckets. But in terms of the overall strategy and why not, taking the report as read, it's quite detailed as to why the council officers landed at this particular decision. You know, it's a very sensitive area, and I've had many discussions with Councillor Jonathan around this over the past week. It's a very sensitive area. There's substantial or potential substantial development almost directly to the south in what could potentially be the next big development area in the eastern suburbs of Ipswich. So, you know, this is another one of those difficult decisions that council has to make, and you know, financially speaking, are we prepared to destabilise the EnviroPlan money that we have set aside for our strategic endeavours to purchase this piece of land, which doesn't fit within council strategy currently? Well, that's the decision that we're faced with here. So they're my overall comments as to why I move and support the officer's recommendation not to expend that EnviroPlan money. I'd be keen to hear what my fellow councillors think about this decision this recommendation that we'll be sending to full council next week, and no doubt we will have further conversations around this next week as well.
Thank you, Councillor Fechner. That's very well explained, and I concur in total with your remarks. Any other member of committee wish to discuss? Mayor?
Chair, if I may, what I would like to see in this report, and maybe we could have it, maybe I'll move a motion to get some more information. If we are looking at an environmental plan levy, as this is saying, it's obviously earmarked for other projects, so I think it's probably important for us to look at, if this did proceed, what would be stopping. I think that's a really important part. There's only so much money in the pot, as Councillor Fechner says, and we do need to be really aware of if this does, you know, does or doesn't proceed, but what the implications would be, as well as that precedent. This is land that since 1974 has been zoned for housing. People have known that for decades. And I also look at the fact that we have certain obligations under the South East Queensland Regional Plan to allow, you know, affordable housing for people in South East Queensland. Each council needs to play their part. So I guess for me, I don't have as much information as I would like going forward. I'm glad we're not making the decision today. We're just making a recommendation. But I certainly would like to see some more information in regards to how's the money for the EnviroPlan earmarked for the future. And I do note, though, in the confidential papers there, the case put forward by the Bellbird Park Preservation Group. They've put I think quite a thorough submission in for that, and I do note that. But I guess that's one of those things where you can't always make the popular decision, but we do need to make sure that it's, I guess, a fair decision based with on the information. So would I be able to ask for some information on the EnviroPlan budget, of the money that's sitting in there and how that's currently...
I believe it's very clear and distinct as to the purpose of the EnviroPlan program, and that it has been explained by council officers that this proposal doesn't fully fall within that remit.
Agreed, it doesn't, yes.
And so, as previously being discussed by Councillor Fechner, beg my pardon, that council could possibly look at other funding sources other than the Enviro Plan.
But I think it's probably important for the community to know the opportunity cost if this, if the decision is to approve this report and it doesn't proceed, then I think it's important for people to know why. And then we've actually allocated that Enviro Plan money elsewhere to do other works, and by approving this, it would stop that. So I think it's probably good to have that information.
Through the chair, yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's just one of those tough decisions.
Yeah.
But purchasing this land here, could set a precedent across the city as to what the community expectation would be. Purchasing this land, there probably are opportunities to explore this further. We might, if this land is for sale and we think that it's a significant project, then might we write to the Queensland Trust for Nature to see if that's something that they would take on. I mean, I'm not sure that they would, but there are other options out there for us around this. I guess there's lots of questions to answer, but the difficulty lies in the expenditure of the Enviro Plan money.
And if I may, Chair, I see from the 2006 Ipswich Planning Scheme, part residential low density RL2 and part recreation, so quite a tract of this land won't be touched with any future development. There's that
Correct.
riparian feature there because of the water course as well as for recreation. So.
Councillor Madsen.
I can't really argue against the recommendation, as what Councillor Fechner has indicated. It's pretty sound from the perspective of the Enviro Plan. But at times I do feel pretty hopeless about the future for South East Queensland with the expected population growth, and apparently our only solution for that as a people is to just clear fell everything. That's what it feels like, anything, like what's going to be left in 2100. Modern medicine may keep me alive until then, but when we go into our work with the new planning scheme and that sort of thing, we've got to do better at getting zoning right so that it protects natural environment.
Absolutely.
I accept where it's at with the zoning, but I still don't think it's good enough that trees just get clear felled, and then it's always an affordable housing argument. Australia is one of the biggest continents. Well, it is a continent, so it's one of the biggest countries in the world, and we've got areas that haven't got trees, but we just keep cutting down the trees. It's just nonsense, really. I know there's other things involved, but yeah, I have a genuine problem with the status quo and the approach to development in South East Queensland.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Mayor, would you like to propose a way of managing?
May I propose a variation that, on whether it's an A or B, that would just be given the budget of the Enviro Plan and what it's basically being allocated towards at the moment, just so we have that oversight. Doesn't need to be a full report. A spreadsheet, a spreadsheet would be sufficient. I said provide us a spreadsheet. With that, I'm just looking at Ms. Kavanagh. Is that readily available? Thank you.
I'll just confirm with the mover, Councillor Fechner, if he agrees to that variation.
I'm happy to include that information.
Thank you.
And seconder?
Yes,
You agree?
Thank you.
And that's part B there. You're happy with that, Mayor? With no further discussion, I'll put the amended motion in total. Those for? It's unanimous. Carried. to closing, I'll just check that there are no notices of motion. I beg my pardon, item 4.
How could you
I
forget?
jumped ahead. It's not that I'm keen to go anywhere else. Beg my pardon. Item 4, Cherish the Environment Foundation. This is a report concerning Council's future involvement and membership of Cherish the Environment Foundation Limited. Does any member of committee wish to call forward Council Officer to ask any questions? No? Then the recommendation is in 2 parts. A, that Council develop an exit strategy from Cherish the Environment Foundation Limited, and that the exit strategy be developed in partnership with the Cherish the Environment Foundation directors. And B, that Council source the required legal and governance advice to develop the exit strategy and to provide guidance to Council and Cherish the Environment Foundation through the transition phase. Do I have anyone wishing to move the recommendation?
I'll move them both. Thank you, Chair.
Both together. Thank you. Councillor Fechner. Seconder. Councillor Kunzmann. I'll open the matter for discussion.
If I may, Chair, obviously there's 4 directors, and council are 2 of them, with the CFO as well as Councillor Fechner. So I want to thank both Mr Keach and Councillor Fechner. If you remember our very first council meeting on the 27th of April, no one wanted to take this on. There was some concern because it is a complex matter and it was set up some time ago. After that meeting, I approached Councillor Fechner. One of the benefits of having someone with business experience and being a small business owner is that he's able to pick up a set of books and assimilate it very quickly and understand it. So I want to thank Councillor Fechner for getting down to the bottom of this and working with the CFO and also the directors on I think a really good solution that's contemporary. Obviously, when it was set up, there was, I don't know if you were going to speak to it, Councillor Fechner, but obviously the state and federal legislation is very different. So this organisation was filling a gap, and there's no longer a gap there. So I will be supporting this motion. But thank you very much, Councillor Fechner. Thank you very much, Mr Keach.
Yeah, I understand there's a bit of work to do in making sure that the exit strategy is executed well, but we'll have some good legal advice around how that works. It's not really... I guess this is an opportunity for us to explore what we're doing with offsets as an organisation.
Mm-hmm.
We did partner with Cherish back when and I choose my words carefully, I was going to say back when the environment was, but back when the landscape of these deals looked a lot different, and it was a good opportunity for us at the time. And Cherish the Environment Foundation has achieved a lot of really great things, but that's not necessarily in alignment with where we see council strategically moving forward in terms of our environmental outcomes. So I think that this is a good opportunity to look back on not just the work that we've done in Cherish, but we're celebrating 25 years of the Enviro Plan as well, and Cherish in recent history was a part of that. So I think that this is an opportunity for us to look back and say, well, we achieved something really good with Cherish the Environment Foundation, and we're transitioning to something better. And in developing this exit strategy, it can be a really positive outcome, for us, in that they'll continue to go and do their great work, and we'll continue to do ours in a separate way.
Any further discussion? In that case, I'll put the motion. Those for? It's unanimous and carried. Now, we covered that there are no notices of motion or matters arising, and no procedural motions and formal matters. Therefore, I'll close the meeting at 1:17, and the...
If I may, Chair,
Yes.
start the next one in 10 minutes, so
Start the next
1:27.
1:27. Very good. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.